Hi you guys, it's Linnea for ThermOWeb, and this week we are collaborating with Picket Fence Studios and MISTI. So I'm going to be using some products from all of these fabulous companies to make a really great card. So I'm starting out here with the Random Dots stencil from Picket Fence Studios, and I'm going to spray the back with some pixie spray. And I just laid my stencil face down into a cardboard box that I use for all of my kind of mixed media spraying, sprayed the back and let it dry for just a little bit until it was kind of tacky. And then I pressed on a piece of heavyweight cardstock to the back of that stencil. I'm using Deco Foil transfer gel and a stencil pal to cover up my cardstock over this stencil. So what I do is I just use a palette knife, scoop out some of that transfer gel and put it onto my stencil pal. You could put it right onto the stencil and then just kind of swipe your stencil pal back and forth. I go every direction, top to bottom, bottom to top, and then left to right to make sure that all of those dots are filled in. And then I just scrape off all the excess, put it back in the jar, and I have easy, even coverage of this transfer gel. I'm going to set this aside to dry for about an hour, and then I grab some pink quartz Deco Foil transfer sheets, and I'm going to cut down a sheet that is just slightly bigger than my stenciled piece. I have a carrier sheet, which is just parchment paper folded in half, and I'm going to run that through my laminator. Now I did make sure that my laminator was good and hot, probably about 15 minutes past when the light said it was ready. Ran it through, and now I'm just going to reveal all of this shiny foiled goodness. Now I did get a little bit of transfer here and there, but I'm going to actually be repeating this process because I wanted to have foil and flock in my background. So here's how the stencil originally was. I'm just going to shift it a little bit, press that same piece of paper onto the back, and actually I didn't even have to respray the back of my stencil. The great thing about pixie spray is that it stays tacky for a couple of uses, so I didn't have to respray. I could just stick my paper right back onto the back of the stencil. I'm going to apply the transfer gel over the top once again, the same way I did before, and then I'll set that aside to dry for about another hour until that gel is completely clear. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I thought that I would stamp out my little flamingos. This is from the Picket Fence Studios That's Flocking Great stamp set. And you know I had to use the Flocking Great sentiment because we're using flock in the background and because it's a flock of flamingos and because it just seemed to go. It was calling to me. So I grabbed my mini MISTI, which allows me to stamp all 6 of these little flamingos all at once onto some heavyweight cardstock. I didn't get them stamped really well, especially the middle ones. I didn't press well. So because I used the MISTI, all I had to do was just ink up my stamps again and press them until all I had was a good ink transfer. I'm going to color them in, and I'm going to color them 2 different ways. One is going to be a coral flamingo, and the other one will be a more true pink flamingo. And I don't know which one I like better. Honestly, I think I'm leaning towards that coral color. I love it. So really simple alcohol marker coloring. I'm using my Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers, going from dark to medium to light, just like I always do. And then if I need a deeper blend, I will go back with the medium and then back to the light again. So just doing that one more time here with the pale pink blend, and I did add in just a bit of the bright pink for my darkest color for shading. And then I'm going to use my scissors and I will cut all of these little flamingos out. It was really easy to do. I just trimmed around the black edges with my scissors. So after coloring these, my Deco Foil transfer gel the second time around is clear, and you can kind of see it here, not really because that foil is picking up most of the light. But I cut a piece of Think Pink flock transfer sheets to be, again, slightly bigger than my cardstock. Heated up my laminator again, and I'm going to run it through, and I was so excited when I peeled this back. I did have some of the foil like kind of reactivating, and the flock kind of stuck around the edges of the foil, but all in all, this was just what I was thinking of. I wanted to have a mix of the pink quartz foil and the Think Pink flock, and I'm obsessed with how it turned out, and I want to try double stenciling it on all of my cards now. So I have everything stamped and cut out. I did stamp that sentiment that says, well, that's just flocking great. And I thought that just went really well with the flamingos and with my flocked background. So I cut out that sentiment with my scissors to make it look like a scripty little sentiment die cut. And then I have some 3D foam squares from iCraft for ThermOWeb. And I love the dimension on these. They are thicker than normal foam squares. And I love that, so much dimension. So I added them to the back of my sentiment, and actually I will do the same for my little flamingos here. And once I had the backings peeled off, I added some iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. I always use this adhesive when I am adhering onto foil or flock or anything that's textured, because I know that liquid adhesive is going to really, really hold. So even though I have the adhesive on the back of those foam squares, I am just giving myself that extra insurance policy with the Ultra Bond adhesive. And this is my card. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.